sweet and wonderful, sweet friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things, and I have to stop filming over here because there's terrible lighting. But anyway, I'm not talking about books, but it is book-related. I'm talking about my book blanket for the year. Hi. Hello, this is her. I'll have footage showing a lot of the things later, but we're going to talk about the details of this thing. She's fucking huge. So, again, you will see some of this, but she is from my bookshelf over there to the end of this wall. So she's large, and this is just the first 6 months of it. So this is just January through June, not including what I have dubbed extras. We will get into that. So, if you don't know, if you're new here, I did a book blanket last year where for, words are hard. I did a row, which is a standard row, because I'd never made a blanket before, so I didn't know what I was doing, and I could have done a better job, trust me. I made a row for every book that I read, and each color represented a genre. That blanket came out very ugly. She is ugly. We do not talk about her. She lives on my couch, though, because she's like the perfect couch length. But she's ugly. Bad. This one, cute, but for walls, not for blankets. Cute. This time I'm still working on it. I am doing alternating granny squares where I do either a quote-unquote plain or classic granny square. This is a good example. Or I do one with a design or a motif. Good example here. This is lavender. I don't know if you can tell. There's a bear here. See the bear? I have a stick for pointing this time, so... you know, we've got some stars and stuff, mushrooms, stuff, right? Alternating between the two. I did this because I thought that it would teach me a lot about crochet, which it has. A lot about crochet, and because I'd never really done granny squares before, which is kind of like the classic starter is to do granny squares, and I was like, amigurumi, great, awesome, fun, hate these, I'm gonna make clothes now, which is, yeah. And so now I make granny squares, and I like could make granny squares in my sleep. Lately I've been making flowers though, that's a totally different thing. Anyway, this is my planner, and it's where I put this script for this video that I'm clearly not following. Moving on. So at the moment, like I said, I'm 6 months into the book blanket. If you want to know the stats for the color breakdowns of this, my mid-year wrap-up, my mid-year stats video will probably get into the genres a little bit more, and you should go look at that because that will talk about this a little bit more. I'm not going to talk about the genres in this video. We are just talking about crochet and yarn. For what I am dubbing the quote-unquote big blocks, that's going to be these center blocks here. They are in a 5x4 for each month, which gives 20 of the big blocks per month that I use big blocks, and then I would alternate. And they also have a distinguished color that is combining them. So this like blue that changes is specific to June, and then this alternating yellowy thing is not June, to May, and then this is to June. But these big blocks, they are 6x6 inches, and the small blocks are 5x5 inches. The 6x6 inches took me about 20 minutes to complete a piece, which there are 60 of them, so it took me 20 hours to do all of those. And then the smaller ones are 5x5, and they took me about, they took me about 15 minutes a piece. There are a total of 72 of those, and that is a total of 18 hours, give or take, of work. And then again, what I am dubbing extras. So basically, I discovered that this layout works really well. It works well for alternating between patterned and not patterned, and then I like the way that it looks a lot to have the big ones and then the small ones on the outside. But there were some months where I read more than 20 books or whatever, and while I would usually just carry on to the next part, so like going from a big one to a small one, that got really complicated really quickly. So what I have decided to do is to just write those down as extras, and this is from April. They're 4x4 squares. They're much smaller, and I might put them across the bottom here if I end up with enough to go all the way across, and I might, if not, put them somewhere else. But like I might do that to attach it here. I haven't decided yet. Depends on how many I end up with. What am I gonna do with these otherwise? I don't know yet. I have a lot of different ideas, and I truly will not know until I have a bunch of them made. And right now, I haven't even finished doing July's blocks, and it's currently July 14th, and normally I'm way more ahead than this, so that's not good. Anyway, those tiny squares, the 4x4 squares, there's currently 13 of them. That obviously wasn't 13. They take me about 10 minutes or less. I can do them in my sleep. They're really easy. I learned how to do them from a Studio Ghibli project, which I have a video on. I'm just using the base pattern from that. Took about 2 hours total time. So, total blocks that I have, and I think this is not even including the small blocks because they're not on here. I have a total of 132 blocks up here now, which is wild. I have over 150 books read at this current moment in time, so I need to make sure everything kind of lines up there. Obviously there's the 13 extras, so that makes up for some of it, and then there's whatever I've read in July, which is not up here. The total amount of time worked on just the blocks is 40 hours. Mind you, that is not including blocking or putting it together. So all I am giving you is that 40 hours was literally just the amount of time spent making the blocks. I did not track how long it took to put them together because I was doing it between meetings or like when I was bored, because I didn't really have to pay a ton of attention when I was putting it together. I didn't track any of that. I also decided last month, annoyingly enough, to start doing letters to distinguish the months. Now the color border is fun and all, and I like it, but it's not really like very distinguishable unless you specifically know what the month is. So I started doing letters and crocheting them and just putting them on. I've gone ahead and made all the letters for the rest of the year because I wasn't about to do that again. It was already a nightmare. And I just think that that added a little bit of fun flair to it. So I have those kind of on each section, just kind of laid out. And then you can also just like when you see those appliques, you can be like, oh, clearly things with this ugly rainbow yarn are April. Now I know, right? So then when you see this somewhere, you go, oh wow, look, there's the ugly rainbow yarn. It must be extras from April. Because I have so many people that come to my house and look at my book link and ask me questions. That is definitely a thing that happens frequently. Now, the skeins. How many skeins am I using? I don't know. I don't know anymore, y'all. I don't know. I lost track of the receipts and stuff. A lot. The answer is a lot. It feels like a lot. I know the answer is a lot. I'm using a lot. I haven't had to buy a ton of white, and I haven't had to buy a ton of gray. I do need to go buy gray today, actually. But for fantasy and horror, I've had to purchase a ton of them, and same with thrillers. I definitely lost track. Each skein, unless it's on sale, costs between $3.99 and $4.99, and I would say I've bought at least 20 skeins total. And I'm not going to do that math in my head, so if you want to do that math and then be like, Andy, what? I don't want to know. Don't tell me how much that costs. I don't want to know. This is my one true joy outside of books. This is my hobby that's not books, alright? Mind your business. Anyway, moving on. For the total length and width, I got my tape measure out for this, my like legitimate tape measure out for this, which stressed out the pets in my house because they hate the sound, so you should feel grateful that I did that for you. The length, which is from top to bottom, is 36.5 inches, or about 3 feet-ish. Yeah, 3 feet-ish, give or take. And then for the width, which is from wall to wall, and I think at this point I'm probably going to show you what this guy looks like in total, so cue that clip while I'm still talking. The total width is 106 inches, which is about 8.5, almost 9 feet long. This bitch is long. Overall, oh, and what hooks have I been using? All of them. I actually can't. Like, I, for a while, was trying to be consistent about what hook sizes I was using, but because different patterns require different hooks, require different whatever, and have different end sizes, yeah, it's hard to explain. Where do I get my granny square patterns? I either purchase them off Etsy, not a lot of that happening anymore. I either purchase them off Etsy or I grab them from online. There's a lot of fun granny square patterns on the internet, which is great and nice. I also plan this out ahead of time on my computer. Once I've written out my TBR and filmed it, I will then take that TBR, write it down in the Sheets, Google Sheets doc for my book tracker from art, which is linked down below. I will use that to put all the information in, take the genres from that, and put it in a separate note that I then can plan out my layout for this, where it's like patterned, non-patterned, patterned, non-patterned. I basically can see a breakdown. So like if I have a ton of fantasy, I know that that's going to be, every other one is probably going to be a fantasy block, right? Or there was one month where I had a ton of thriller, like an obscene amount of thriller, and I even had to have 2 thrillers touching, which was very annoying, and I didn't like that. I work really hard to avoid that, and the planning is pretty thorough. I actually don't put the blocks together until all of them are made and I know I am done with adding books. So like either I hit whatever the number is for that month's, like either the big blocks of 20 or like the outside blocks, which don't ask me, I think it's like 6 and 6 and 7 and 7, I think, something like that. I don't even put them together until those are done and I know how much I've read, just because I don't want to like have put it together and then have to take it apart, which I've had to do before. I did also learn how to block my acrylic yarn, which was kind of necessary because they weren't all coming out the same size. I learned that they don't need to be water soaked or anything, but just heat will work, or just like leaving them blocked out for a little bit of time will work, which is what I usually do. And getting those blocking boards in general has helped because I don't actually always need to block them anymore. Now I can just compare it to like on the board itself and be like, okay, yeah, this is obviously a 5x5 block or a 6x6 block or whatever I need it to be. But yeah, this is it. She's huge. She's been a lot of work, but I don't know. I really like my book blanket this year. I think that it's come out really beautifully. I'm really quite proud of it this year. So yeah, I'm sorry that I look like a wreck today and that this was not the best lighting. It never is in this section, and honestly I could have put my nice like overhead light thingy on my ring light, but it is like 102 degrees outside, and while my AC works great, if I turned that light on it would get really hot in here and I would pass out. Not being dramatic, I would literally pass out. I have passed out filming before doing that, and I did not want to take the risk because I don't want to feel that tired. I have to go to the store after work. So anyway, like I said, I'm really enjoying the book blanket this year. I'm excited to see where the next 6 months go. This is like, it's 6 months done. Am I doing any better with tracking than I did last year? No. But I can at least give you counts, which I don't know if I could have done last year, and I can give you more accurate sizing. I can't give you weight because it's hung up, and I did have to stand on a stool to hang this up because at the current moment it's more than half my height at its height, and I'm 5'1"-ish, so yeah, she's big. Anyway, by the time she's done, she'll be taller than me probably. Oh yeah, no, it'll be 6 foot by the time it's done. That's wild. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Sorry that it was so chaotic and sporadic. If you guys have any questions about the book blanket, or like you want to make your own and want to ask, like, I don't know, ask me questions about mine, or I don't know, if you have questions, just put them in the comments down below. I will do my best to get back to you. I'm not the greatest at responding to everything, but I do try. And I'll talk to you guys later. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you like this video. Take your meds, drink your water, and do something today to take care of yourselves. Okay, thanks, bye.